Okay, so just thought I'd pop on here for a little bit of time and just talk about a couple of other little things. A lot of feedback that I got from the first video that I made regarding immune system health. So one of the things that I neglected to talk about was really dosages and your kids. So I got a lot of things back that said, okay, well, what about for my kids? How much vitamin A? How much vitamin D? How much zinc? All those things. So I thought it'd be good to just kind of go back over that. So years and years ago, see, I'm almost 50. So years and years ago, our parents, their generation, they give their kids cod liver oil. And cod liver oil was a really good thing to give us not because they hated us, but because it tasted pretty bad. But because it had vitamin A in it, and it had vitamin D in it, and it also had, let me see if I pull my video up here. I'm going to try to do a better job. Okay. I'm going to mute myself. There we go. So it had cod liver oil, had vitamin A, vitamin D, but it also had essential fatty acids. And so, and I talked about this the other day, vitamin A is critically important to the mucosa, the integrity of the mucosal lining in your nose, your mouth, your throat, your lungs. So you need vitamin A to fend off germs, but also to maintain the integrity so that you don't have weaknesses, places where things can hunker down and cause you to get sick. Vitamin D, I just talked a little bit about vitamin D, but vitamin D activates monocytes, neutrophils. It causes your synthesis of something called calcitonins. And these are little peptides that are antimicrobial. So they go in and they actually attack viruses, attack bacteria. So they're strengthening you and they're fortifying your body against pathogens, against all the different stuff out there. So this is some of the stuff that you can do for your children. Now, I have a couple of supplements I recommend, and this company is called Biotech. I'll try to work it out here. There you go. Biotech Pharmacal. Boy, I'm bad at that. Okay, there you go. Biotech Pharmacal. You can get this on Amazon. This is 100 capsules. It's 50,000 units. So it's not a fatty, oily thing. It's a capsule. It's a micronized capsule. And the reason I like that is you can open it up and you could give some to your kids in their food or their drink or whatever. But it's also very highly absorbable. So when you take it, you're going to get really good assimilation. Same company, and this is for vitamin A. And this is 25,000 units. Now, people get scared about these numbers. Oh, 50,000, that's a lot. It's not. So the toxicity for an adult person would be this whole bottle. You'd probably have to swallow this whole bottle. And even then, it probably wouldn't really hurt you. Same thing here. Toxicity, even though these are fat soluble, you have to take an enormous amount of it to get to a toxic level. So in the winter time, I recommend 50,000 units of D a week, one time a week. Now, if you feel like you're getting sick, if something's happening, you can always take more because you're well under the toxic level. So if you took 50,000 a day for a week, you still would not be toxic. Your levels would be high. And I have measured high levels on blood tests because I run these tests on my patients all the time. But it's not going to be ridiculous. This is so much less toxic than a Tylenol. This is something important that people need to know. You won't think twice about taking a Tylenol or an ibuprofen. Those drugs, those NSAID drugs, they kill about 15,000 people a year. Do you know how many deaths were from vitamins or minerals last year? None. So the threshold of toxicity is really not relevant. I mean, people worry about it, but there's only a few conditions where you would really worry about it, but it's really not a big deal. So vitamin A, 20,000 units, 25,000 units or so a week in the wintertime is very, very helpful for your mucous membrane stability. Vitamin D for your immune system function. Also very active in your nervous system. So Journal Neurology 2004, they gave nursing home patients vitamin D and they stopped falling down so much. They thought it was just going to fortify their bones. What actually found out was there's receptors for nearly every cell in your body that for vitamin D. So it actually improves neurological function. And so it helps with coordination, it helps with strength. It does all these different things. So it's a very, very useful supplement. So the other thing we talked about the other day, and I did the first video, was essential fatty acids. So you need essential fatty acids, especially omega-3 fatty acids, because it creates membrane stability. So in and around the cells, like a bag of water, basically, on the outside is lipids, fats. And when you have good fatty acid levels, you build good, healthy cell membranes, and that controls what comes in, what comes out of that cell, and also its ability to react to the environment. So healthy cell membranes build better health. So we want to get our vitamin A levels up. We want to get our vitamin D levels up. We want to get our essential fatty acids level up. These are all in that fat realm. In the water zone, in the more aqueous zone, you have your vitamin C. And so if now you're getting some type of infection, you can definitely hit that with vitamin C. I don't take mega doses of vitamin C on a daily basis, but when there is something that is bothering you, when you feel something coming on, it would be good to bump that vitamin C level up, even into the thousands of milligrams per day level. So, but for kids, let's go back to kids. They make emulsions, which is like a little dropper. So you can put a drop of vitamin D in their food, in their drink, whatever. And a little child can still and should still get vitamin A and vitamin D. It's always best to get D in coordination from foods and the sun. The sun it does so many things. It's a 2-hour discussion in and of itself, but it is more than vitamin D. When you're exposed to the sun, your body actually releases nitric oxide. Nitric oxide dilates vessels and improves blood flow. It lowers blood sugar. It lowers blood pressure. It does all of these other things. It works on what's called your pineal gland, which is your body's internal clock. So it actually orients you to day and night. So if you have sleep cycle disruption, the cure is morning sunshine. That will help to coordinate your brain. We're really animals. I mean, we don't think we are, but we are. So we are on a time clock. Our pineal gland and what's something behind our eyes is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus orientates us to night and day. So when we're getting a bombarded, like right now I have 2 screens and this thing pointing at me. This is all blue light. This is throwing off my circadian rhythm. So my brain thinks it's earlier in the day than it is because I'm getting blue light coming in. So I try to limit that at night, but since I'm here making a video and I'm looking at this stuff, it's going to be off a little bit, but that's okay. But anyway, so this is stuff that's important. And I talked a little bit last time about this. This is like my little secret weapon. And I see a couple people on here that have actually used this at my recommendation, which just kind of makes me laugh. But and you can use this to gargle, and it's basically called Lugol's Iodine. You can use it to gargle. You can use it to in a nasal mist, and what that does is iodine is multipotent against bacteria, viruses, parasites, mold. It will sterilize water. And so if you inhale it, you breathe it in, it will wipe out pathogens in your sinuses, around your nasal mucosa, and then on your nasopharynx. So what I talked about the other day was when they do a test to see if you have COVID, they swab your nasopharynx, so it's a super long thing, and it goes way back into your head. Well, you can actually get iodine back across that by making a nasal rinse. I have a video on YouTube, and you can watch that, and I just tell you exactly how to do it, or you can private message me, or I'll maybe post a link to that video. But that's been, for some people, the major difference with them with like reoccurring sinus infections and things, because you don't want to keep taking antibiotics. Antibiotics can save your life. If you have a massive septic thing where you're going to die, take the darn antibiotics. But if you have a sinus infection, you don't want to keep taking the antibiotics over and over again. This is not going to be beneficial for you. So you have to hit it where it lives. If you're getting a chronic nasal or sinus infection, it's better to hit it where it lives, which is in the sinus. So there's something going on in there. And just like the gut has a biome, the sinus membrane has a biome. Probably if you're chronically getting sinus infections, you probably have deficiencies of A and D to begin with. You probably have a poor diet and or fatty acid deficiencies, but we're going to hit it where it lives with some iodine, and it's going to wipe out that chronic infection. Even in an acute infection, it works exceptionally well. So these are things that you can do. They're inexpensive. So one of the things that I talk about is you can take, this is about a 2-year supply of vitamin D, and it costs about $25. Same gig, $20-25 for years. With your kids, you open the capsules up, you pour it in, and you're done. Or you get the emulsion, which is like an oily drop. I really prefer the powders over the oils, because some people, especially if you've lost your gallbladder or you have poor digestion, you may not get optimum absorption from the nutrients and things that you're taking. So these micronized formulas work exceptionally well. So that's just some basic simple things. In the event that you feel like something's coming on, I would double up on these things immediately. And then I would start to do some high levels of vitamin C, because the studies, especially coming out of Germany and a couple other places, have shown that that when you hit this early with vitamin C, your outcomes are way better. However, what we know across the board for almost all hospitalizations regarding respiratory or infections is your level of vitamin C going into vitamin D, going into the hospital is one of the strongest factors as if you go out vertical or horizontal. So if you're in the pits, if your D level is really down and you get admitted, your chances, I will, Bill. Your chances of coming out of there are much less if your D level is in the tank. So it's simple. First, get in the sun. I don't give a damn what they tell me from the CDC or whatever. Human beings evolved under this sun. This thing is good for you. So get out in the sun. Get exposed to sunlight. Get it on your arms, get it on your legs, 15, 20 minutes. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to make you healthier. So the topic of the talk last time was basically build the fortress. And that's kind of how I view it. The world around us is attacking us. It's always attacking us. It's never not attacking us. Our innate immune system function keeps all that stuff at bay. But if we get sleep deprived, if we eat bad food, if we have nutrient deficiencies, if our bodies aren't functioning well, we're going to allow that opening to happen. And those critters are going to get in. And so we want to make the fortress as strong as possible. So whether you have, you're afraid of getting a virus or whatever, this is the same stuff I tell people every winter. Every winter I say for flu season to me isn't a season. It's the time when people's vitamin D is lowest and their immune systems are the weakest. That's why they get the flu. On top of the fact that they're now crowded together where they would have otherwise been outside in the sun. Now they're all jammed together, huddled around watching Netflix all day, instead of like doing exactly what they're telling us to do now, is what people always do in the wintertime, is they shelter inside without even being told to. The other thing is zinc. And this one I like because it has a combination of things that go with zinc. It has some copper. It has some vitamin C. So it has a more cohesive formula. The other thing that I take regularly, and this is mostly because I work out very frequently, 4 times a week or so, is I take magnesium. And even though magnesium is found abundantly in fresh nuts, seeds, and green leafy vegetables, I take magnesium because I feel like I can't keep my levels up naturally without eating piles and piles of salad, which I probably don't eat as much as I should. I don't really like it that much, but so I take magnesium, but I take it at night predominantly because it helps me relax and sleep better. So what I'm going to do, I will monitor the questions in here. I'm going to post the link to my YouTube video about how to make the sinus rinse, because I see that Bill asked for that. And, look at all the questions that you have in here. Oxide or citrate. Oxide is probably the dirtiest, cheapest magnesium you can get. It's better than no magnesium, but citrate is better. There's also some aspartate, malate. There's taurate. There's about a dozen or so that are organically bound. Oxide would be the cheapest, and citrate would be the cheapest, and things that I kind of kept away from, unless you want to use them as laxatives, which is what magnesium citrate actually is a laxative. Incidentally, if you have problems with digestion with magnesium, you can take an Epsom salt bath. Epsom salt is actually magnesium sulfate, and it does penetrate through your skin to some degree, and so you do get some magnesium level elevation from just going into an Epsom salt bath. So I do that sometimes when I'm sore or achy, or again, when I need to relax, I need to fall asleep. So I'll take an Epsom salt bath, and that actually does help calm me down a little bit. Let's see. Any other questions or anything before I jump off here? I don't want to stay on here too long. I know it's Sunday night. There's probably folks that have better things to do. Best brands. So the best brands, like I said, the ones I like for A and D are Biotech Pharmacal. Again, inexpensive, very high quality, very efficient. I would consider these to be physician grade. You can get these on Amazon, and they're dirt cheap. They're just not expensive at all. I consider them to be health insurance. So health insurance to me isn't money you send off to a company. Health insurance is the things you do yourself to make yourself optimally healthy. So that's the way I look at that. So that is one of the ways I consider that health insurance is I'm going to make sure that I am covering all of my bases so that I am optimally healthy. All right, I'm going to jump off here. Any other questions? If not, to do live, I'll just kind of respond to things in the thread here tonight. All right, that's it. Stay healthy. Drink plenty of water, wash your hands, and get plenty of sleep. Don't be sleep deprived right now. You can't afford to be sleep deprived right now. Being sleep deprived cuts your immune system activity an enormous amount. So get your rest, get your Z's, don't feel bad about it. Turn off the darn TV, read a book before bed, and get some good sleep. That's it. Good night. Have a good weekend.